Triple H has been the man in WWE since summer of 2022. While it obviously takes an army to do what WWE did in the last couple of years, the numbers don't lie. It's been an unprecedented level of success. The fact that it directly coincides with Triple H taking charge is the reason why it gets most of the credit for what some now call WWE's Renaissance era. We're not saying it's been perfect, but this has been the most consistently entertaining stretch of WWE programming that we've seen in literal decades. It makes sense that WWE would want to keep this momentum flowing, especially after the TKO merger deal. That's exactly why SummerSlam had become 2 nights, and it's also likely going to be the reason why WWE wants to continue their partnership with Saudi Arabia beyond 2028. They're swimming in the dough right now, but in the state of the current world we live in, there's not enough, and growth is a priority at all costs, quarter after quarter, year after year. WWE seems to be achieving that so far, especially after signing the gargantuan decade-long Netflix deal. SmackDown has become 3 hours, even if it's just for a few months. SummerSlam is going to be 2 nights, and there are already talks of other shows like the Royal Rumble becoming 2 nights in 2026, and then Money in the Bank in 2027. And then there are the occasional Saturday night's main event specials. So in 2025 alone, we've got 2-night WrestleManias, 2-night SummerSlams, 3-hour SmackDowns, episodes of Raw that can go now well over 3 hours if needed, and multiple international shows that affect the schedules of fans because of time zone differences. It seems to us like there's just a lot of WWE content right now, and from the looks of things, it's only going to continue to increase. But this really leads to a few questions. When is it enough? How much money is enough money? And is WWE counting their chickens before they hatch a little too soon? This is the new problem that Triple H is going to face in WWE in 2025, the problem of too much content. Join us as we take a deep dive into the biggest new problem WWE is going to have to deal with. Look guys, Triple H is great, and there's no denying that he is objectively responsible for a massive change in WWE. What Vince McMahon's departure did was leave a massive vacuum, as it proved to be a catalyst for change. Nick Khan took the top seat in the company, and he went from being public enemy number 1 during the pandemic days to a well-respected leader and important figure. Remember how the internet just jumped the gun and assumed that Nick Khan was the one releasing everybody in 2020 and 2021? The reason we bring Nick Khan up is because he's great, but at the end of the day, he's leading a for-profit, multi-billion-dollar company. The only way WWE can continue making more money is by having more shows. The 2-night WrestleMania was the biggest catalyst of this. WWE realized they could get a whole extra day of ticket revenue by having their biggest show be 2 nights. It just so happened that the side effects of all this were more positive. You could have shorter shows on each day rather than those exhausting 6-hour WrestleManias. It also gives more superstars a chance to shine, and it also helped give superstars like Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Bianca Belair, and others the accolade of a WrestleMania main event. But that's WrestleMania, so it's more of the exception than the rule. There's already been backlash towards the 2-night SummerSlams, and when rumors came out about WWE thinking of making Royal Rumble 2 nights, the initial reaction was almost unanimously negative. We can only hope that fan backlash is something WWE takes into consideration, because they're most definitely reading the feedback. The question is whether they value fans enough to give up millions of dollars. On one hand, they could simply operate with the mentality that wrestling fans are different from others, and they're going to tune in regardless of whether the Royal Rumble is 2 nights or not. It certainly is true that wrestling fans are more loyal than most, and the best example of this is the fact that millions sat through the abysmal period of WWE in the early to mid 2010s. Here's the issue. As good as things are right now, there's no guarantee that it's going to stay that way forever. The longest stretch of really good WWE programming happened between 1997 and 2005, and even that was far from perfect. It just goes to show that no matter how well things are going, the pendulum will eventually swing the other way. We're not even making it out to be a bubble that's about to burst, but the amount of content that WWE wants to put out isn't sustainable if they want to keep their momentum alive. We're already seeing the side effects of this. SmackDown being 3 hours has made it an extremely difficult watch, with fans realizing that 2 hours is the perfect sweet spot for SmackDown. Raw, on the other hand, has a roster strong enough and a format that can easily support 3 hours. Within just 2 of Saturday night's main events, it's getting a reputation as nothing more than a glorified house show where we get to see the amazing Jesse Ventura. The timing of the second Saturday night's main event was pretty awful. Putting it just 1 week before the Rumble while having no idea how to fill the card was quite the decision, especially when you consider that WWE hadn't done a very great job filling the Rumble card up either. And then there's the issue that WWE faces with not having a big enough roster to fill 3 hours of SmackDown. The fact that we're only in January and the cracks are showing means that it's likely the wrong route that WWE is going down. Between Saturday night's main event and the Royal Rumble 2025 alone, there's a whopping 12 hours of main roster content to watch. The main roster part is crucial because if you add NXT, that's 14 hours. It's absolute madness to expect fans to sustainably consume this type of content, especially when the target audience is young adults who have to work and earn a living. Unless somebody's life revolves around WWE and nothing else, there's no way that the audience doesn't fall off in the coming year or two, even with an exciting roster. It's a recipe for burnout, and the momentum that's been keeping the ball rolling for WWE will eventually fizzle out. So what exactly could the solution be to something like this? Ideally, it would mean capping the amount of content that gets churned out. It would mean the higher-ups in WWE taking a more grounded approach and realizing that while their short-term profits will likely skyrocket, their long-term earnings are going to take an eventual hit. Make no mistake about it, fans will stick around for a while, but at the current rate things are going, the negative issues we mentioned are going to compound and hit WWE like one swift wrecking ball. But let's take a realistic viewpoint because we all know money is king. What would be the solution in the event that WWE continues to churn out content the way they are? It would mean utilizing virtually every single superstar on the roster and even emphasizing smaller storylines. It's not such a bad idea because it can give other superstars a spotlight, and those who appear to be underutilized will finally get a chance to shine. You might even find a surprising name or two benefiting from that kind of thing when they take advantage of the limited opportunities given to them. It could also lead to a much more diverse set of storylines ranging from comedic to those bitter, intense feuds. The real positive effect of this is that it's going to mean that matches on television will mean something. We're not saying that these matches mean less because WWE has prioritized big matches on free TV and streaming, but the fact is that we're now in a cycle where so many matches are just filling up the time on Raw and SmackDown with little reason for fans to actually care about them. It's still uncharted waters for Triple H, who is going to have his ability as the head of creative tested more than ever in 2025. The same principle that has led him to getting most of the credit will also be the one that leads to him getting the most criticism of his career. So do you think he will sink or swim? And do you agree that WWE is going a bit overboard with the amount of content they're putting out? Let us know what you think in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching.